Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Maybe not too surprisingly, Joe Biden breaks another promise to the American people. Hunter Biden's legal team claimed political prosecution in a desperate push for a pardon and a 52-page plea for a pardon with his father, President Joe Biden, and it worked. Last night, Joe Biden released a statement confirming he has granted Hunter Biden a pardon of all charges against him. We have the details. Are you surprised? Does this surprise you that Joe Biden, once again, tells the American people one thing and does something completely different? We'll dig in. The Denver mayor vows to defy President Donald Trump's mass deportation plan while taxpayers shell out $356 million for migrants while their city services are being cut. Remember the case of JonBonet? Investigators in Colorado believe that 2025 could finally be the year that they solve the JonBonet murder after 28 years when the 6-year-old child beauty queen was murdered in her own home. And Trump made two major announcements over the Thanksgiving weekend. Kash Patel was chosen to lead the FBI. The big question, what does this mean for reforming the Bureau? In Trump's second term, also, Trump has chosen Florida Sheriff Chad Chronister to lead the DEA. These are two men who will make big changes in these two law enforcement agencies.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Joe Biden pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, after the first son was convicted in two separate federal cases earlier this year. The announcement was made by the White House last night. The pardon applies to offenses against the U.S. that Hunter Biden, quote, has committed or may have committed between January 1st, 2014 and December 1st, 2024. It was effective yesterday. In a statement, Biden wrote, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word even as I've watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted." The president went on to claim that his son was treated differently by prosecutors. He said, "Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon in a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form," he said. "Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently," the president wrote. Biden has referenced his son's battle with addiction, of course, blamed raw politics for the unraveling of Hunter's plea deal. The 82-year-old father wrote, "There's been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me," he said, "and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision," Biden's statement concluded. Do you understand? As an American, maybe those of you who are a father, even mothers out there, anyone who has a child who is in this situation, do you understand the president's decision after he has repeatedly claimed that he would never do this? Hunter, 54 years old, has had a pretty busy year this year. He kicked off his first trial in Delaware back in June in the summer when he faced 3 felony firearm offenses before he pleaded guilty in a separate felony tax case in September to avoid a trial. President Biden pardoning Hunter is a complete reversal from his previous remarks to the media over the summer, declaring he would not pardon the first son. When he was talking with ABC News, the president said yes when asked if he would rule out pardoning Hunter. He was very clear that he would never consider this. Days later, following a jury of Hunter's peers finding him guilty of 3 felony firearm offenses, the president again said he would not pardon his son.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
I will not pardon him. And the White House has issued statement after statement after statement when asked if the president was considering pardoning Hunter Biden. Evidently, Joe Biden did not share with his White House press person, Karine Jean-Pierre, or his communications office that, in fact, he was planning to pardon Hunter Biden. Wonder how they feel about that after repeatedly saying, and in some cases, just really, when Peter Doocy of Fox News asked the question, Karine Jean-Pierre at times just looked at Doocy like he was an idiot for even asking the question. Wonder how she feels about it. In the gun case, Hunter, of course, was found guilty of making a false statement in the purchase of a gun. In the form that is completed while purchasing a gun, he checked the box that indicated that he was not using drugs at the time, which is an offense. Prosecutors specifically worked to prove that Biden lied on this federal firearm form. It's known as an ATF Form 4473. This was in October 2018 when he checked the label no, when asked if he was an unlawful user of substances or addicted to controlled substances. Hunter has a well-documented history of drug abuse. We've seen some of the photos. We've seen some of the videos from his own laptop. And even in his own memoirs in 2021, Beautiful Things, he talked about his previous need to smoke crack cocaine every 20 minutes, he said, and how his addiction was so prolific that he referred to himself as a crack daddy to drug dealers, and anecdotes revolving around drug deals like a Washington, D.C. crack dealer Biden nicknamed Bicycles. I mean, he was heavily in the drug world. There's no secret about that. Now, Hunter's attorneys, in trying to defend him, never tried to dispute the idea that he had a long history of substance abuse. Their defense argued that the day that Biden bought the Cobra Colt 38, that he didn't consider himself an addicted addict at the time because he wasn't using at that point in time, saying that the first son's stint in rehab ahead of the October 2018 purchase had been successful. Prosecutors, on the other hand, argued that Hunter Biden was addicted to crack cocaine before, during, and after he bought the handgun. Just one day after the gun purchase, prosecutors showed the court that Biden texted Hallie Biden, his sister-in-law turned girlfriend, to say he was waiting for a dealer named Mookie. A day after that text, he texted that he was sleeping on a car smoking crack on 4th Street and Rodney in Wilmington, Delaware. A jury deliberated for about 3 hours across 2 days before they found Hunter guilty on each charge. He was scheduled for sentencing on November 13th, which was delayed until December before his dad intervened. After President Biden dropped out of the presidential race in July, amid concerns of his mental acuity and his age and his health, Hunter faced another trial regarding 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses regarding the failure to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes, maybe more. That's what we know about. A jury selection was about to kick off in Los Angeles federal court when Hunter surprisingly entered a plea deal, or a guilty plea. In a statement, he said, "I will not subject my family to more pain, more invasions of privacy, and needless embarrassment." Hunter said in the email statement at the time, "For all I put them through over the years, I can spare them this, and so I've decided to plead guilty." He admitted his guilt. The charges carried up to 17 years behind bars. He probably would have faced a shorter amount of time, but is very likely that come December the 16th, when he was set to be scheduled, Hunter Biden was most likely going to get some jail time. According to reports, the first family shared Thanksgiving together, and I'm sure that was the topic of discussion, don't you? I mean, think about that. How did that conversation go over Thanksgiving turkey? Hey, Dad, I've got to be sentenced on December the 16th. I'm going to be sent to jail, maybe not for 17 years, but somewhere in between. You got any extra pardons lying around? Now, you know how Joe Biden always likes to talk about he never gets involved in his son's business dealings, that they never discussed it? Wonder how much discussion was going on at the Biden Thanksgiving table about keeping little Hunter out of prison. It was over the weekend, right after Thanksgiving, that his legal team announced that they were going to mount an aggressive campaign to persuade Joe Biden to pardon his son. It must not have taken too much pleading. The 52-page memo claimed the president's son is the victim of political persecution. This, of course, a last-ditch effort to secure a pardon, which worked. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part, PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. I'd really love to hear from you. Did you believe that Joe Biden would not pardon Hunter? Was this a surprise to you? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. I'd really love to know your thoughts on this, because I kind of suspected all along we were going to get something like this, because Joe Biden doesn't know how to keep his word. He doesn't know when he makes a pledge to the American people how to keep that. He has a track record of breaking those type promises. And as much as he has favored Hunter Biden, I didn't think he was capable of not pardoning Hunter Biden. Now, in one respect, I guess it's kind of good that he's gotten this over with, because here was my fear. You know, some of the statements that President Donald Trump has made recently about this, he seemed to be, or to leave a bit of an opening that he might consider it. When speaking to my friend and colleague Hugh Hewitt recently, Trump indicated that he might consider it for the sake of unity.
Will you pardon Hunter Biden?
I wouldn't take it off the books. See, unlike Joe Biden, despite what they've done to me, and after me so viciously, despite what, and Hunter's a bad boy. There's no question about it. He's been a bad boy. All you have to do is see the laptop from hell. But I happen to think it's very bad for the country.
So maybe we just dodged this bullet, that Donald Trump was not put in that situation to where he would even have to consider pardoning. And that's not the first time that Trump had sort of mentioned that he might be open to the idea. Fox News also asked Trump right near the end of the campaign about whether or not he would even consider pardoning Hunter Biden if elected. Trump made it pretty clear that for the sake of unity, it's something that maybe shouldn't be taken off the table. In talking with Fox News, he's talked about how the country needs to heal, and that, yes, Hunter Biden is a bad boy, but he did not want to use the Justice Department and our courts the way that they have been used against him.
What they've done is use the FBI and they've used the Department of Injustice to go after their political opponent, and it has never been done in this country. And people say, am I going to do that? And the answer is no, I don't want to do that. It's so bad for the country. The precedent they've set is so bad for our country. But I could have done it with Hillary, and certainly you do it with Hunter or whatever, but I don't want to do it with Hunter either. And I'll bet you the father probably pardons him. Let's see what happens. But he's a bad boy. There's no question about it. But I don't want to hurt people. I really don't. I have to say this. The country has to heal. It has to get better. We have a really... there's tremendous anger in this country from the stupidity that we're watching. 4 years of gross incompetence, 4 years of stupidity.
So you agree? Maybe it's good that if this was going to happen, that Joe Biden is the one who actually issued the pardon so that there was no pressure on Trump to do so? I'm not sure Trump would have ever done it anyway. Moving on, it's been 28 years since JonBonet Ramsey, the 6-year-old beauty queen, was found murdered in her family's Boulder, Colorado home. This was December 26th, the day after Christmas in 1996. And despite decades of investigations, various theories, heartbreaking false leads for this family, no one so far has been held accountable. But now, for the first time in years, there's a bit of a renewed sense of hope. Investigators in Colorado believe that 2025, they say, could finally be the year that this case is solved. So let's start with a couple of key updates here. 2 investigative sources have told the New York Post that Colorado police are actively following dozens of leads and feel closer than ever to solving the murder case. According to one investigator, quote, "I'm not sure what it will take to bust it wide open, but it feels like it's within reach. We're hoping for 2025. This is our year." Now, there's a reason for this renewed optimism. Boulder, Colorado's new police chief, Steve Redfern, who took over in early 2024, has put a priority on this case. He's assigned more officers, more resources to crack the mystery. A source within the department admitted, quote, "We messed this case up from the start, and now, with new blood, we can finally fix it," they said. And it's no secret that the early days of this investigation had a lot of missteps. There was a lot of controversy, from contaminating the crime scene to prematurely focusing on the Ramsey family itself as suspects. The Boulder Police Department has faced years of criticism for not getting this right. Even JonBonet's father, John Ramsey, has called out the department's shortcomings, recently telling Today, "There have been horrible failures, but I believe it can be solved if police accept help from outside their system." He's always been critical. He's always wanted, and he's a pretty wealthy guy, he's always wanted to have his own people involved, and has claimed that his investigators has found evidence that the police do not give any credence to. Here's what happened. On that December morning of 1996, JonBonet was reported missing from her family's home. Hours later, after reporting her missing, her father discovered her body in the basement of their home. She had been strangled, and her skull had been fractured by a blow to the head. It was horrible. You remember the news? You remember hearing about this horrible case? Initially, though, and this is quite common among law enforcement, a suspicion fell on the family. John, his wife Patsy, and their son Burke. Just 15 days after the murder, though, a DNA report excluded them as suspects. In 2008, after years of investigating and asking questions, the district attorney formally exonerated the Ramseys. There'd been a lot of suspicion around them. Probably a lot of time wasted in spending resources investigating them. But the question about the case and the handling of the evidence has lingered ever since. Fast forward to today. Chief Redfern and his team are working closely with DNA experts and law enforcement agencies across the country. Redfern issued a statement saying, "The killing of JonBonet was an unspeakable crime, and this tragedy has never left our hearts. We're committed to following up on every lead and will continue until this case is solved." And let's hope that it is. I mean, there has to be nothing worse for this family and the community for that matter, the neighborhood, to have gone this many years and still not have this murder solved. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. In the debate over illegal immigration, headline out of Denver, the city of Denver, which is a sanctuary city, by the way, has spent an eye-popping $356 million on illegals since 2022, according to a new study by the Common Sense Institute. It's a nonpartisan research group. That's $7,900 for every foreign national in the city. It represents 8% of Denver's 2025 budget. First, let's break down where this money's going. According to CSI, the study says that education has been the single largest expense, totaling $228 million annually to support over 16,000 illegal migrant students in Denver's metro schools. That's nearly 2% of the entire state of Colorado's total K through 12 education budget for this year. Healthcare is another major cost, with the emergency departments delivering $49 million in uncompensated care for illegals since December of 2022. Add to that cost for housing, for transportation, child care, food, and it's clear the financial strain on Denver is massive, but yet they continue to want to be a sanctuary city, or at least their leadership does. Not quite sure what the people of Denver have to say about this. Let's not forget either that this mayor, who does not want to enforce federal immigration laws or cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement, and has been defiant. Mike Johnson is his name. He took office early this year. He's made some pretty controversial decisions in response to the announcements of what President Donald Trump plans to do next year, and the continuation of having Denver as a sanctuary city. Johnson has cut services across his city to his taxpaying citizens, including reducing operations at recreation centers and even halting the planting of spring flowers last year so that he could have that money for illegals. He's tapped into the city's contingency fund to cover costs as well. He isn't just focused on managing the crisis, though. He's positioning himself as a staunch opponent, a headline-grabbing mayor of defying President Donald Trump's proposed mass deportation plan. Johnson recently said he's willing to go to jail to resist any policies he views as illegal or immoral or un-American. So he thinks it's un-American to allow these people in his city to drain resources to the point that his recreation centers have reduced operations for taxpaying citizens so that he can give that money to illegals. I've never understood the thought process among these people who argue in favor of sanctuary cities and protecting illegals. Now, let's not underestimate how serious this standoff is. And this could get interesting. This is one to watch because Tom Homan, President-elect Trump's designated border czar, fired back during an appearance on Hannity saying, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail, and I'm willing to put him in jail, and I don't doubt that. That's going to be an interesting standoff. And where are the lines drawn between the federal government and local authorities? The election results on November 5th have proven that the migrant crisis has become a flashpoint in our politics at every level, local, state, national. It's created this national debate that we've had for years now on immigration. And Denver now is actually serving as a case study for both the financial and social impact of unchecked illegals. They're literally bleeding money to manage the crisis and don't seem to care, or at least the mayor doesn't. Again, I don't know what the people of Denver, how they feel about it, the ones who are actually footing the bill. But it's not sustainable. The Common Sense Institute estimates the city's migrant-related costs are nearly 8% of its total budget again. And I can't imagine how hardworking taxpayers would want this to continue. They've had over 16,000 illegal students that have put an enormous pressure on Denver schools. And again, local hospitals are struggling to keep up with the uncompensated care for illegals. And you got to know that if these resources are being used for illegals, that means that there's probably some of the citizens of Denver who are legal and American citizens probably aren't receiving the care they deserve. Mayor Johnson's public defiance of President Trump's deportation plans, of course, is earning him praise from the progressives and those who believe that sanctuary cities are the right thing to do. But it's also putting Denver at the center of a high-stakes legal and political battle, one that I'm not sure they really want to be in. Because I believe Tom Homan and Donald Trump are going to win this one. Because that's what the American people elected him to do. So here's the multi-million-dollar question, or maybe I should say multi-billion-dollar question. What's the solution to this showdown? Now, critics of Mayor Johnston's approach argue that the sanctuary city policies incentivize illegal immigration, which we know it does. It's like a magnet when they know that if they go to Denver, they're going to be protected. Supporters of the mayor, though, see this crisis as a moral issue, arguing that cities like Denver have a responsibility to provide refuge to people fleeing violence and poverty or persecution. They applaud Johnston's willingness to stand up to Trump. They think it's that it's a badge of honor. We're going to see. Here's the thing. This isn't just about Denver, although they're in the spotlight. It's about the broader challenges that we as a country face and the deep divisions over how to address them. And I think the American people on November the 5th answered those questions very loudly. So what do you think? Is Mayor Johnston a hero standing up for his values, or is he placing ideology over the well-being of his city? And what are the battle lines here between the federal government and a local government? What's the answer to these so-called sanctuary city policies? Does the federal government again have the authority to close them down, or is this a local issue, one that the residents of Denver should handle? And if they don't like it, then throw the mayor out of office. Problem is, he was just elected last year. I don't know what his term is. I assume it's probably at least 2 years, maybe 4. Love your comments. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. By the way, Trump made a couple of key appointments over the weekend, or announcements of names selected. First, He named what some are calling a bold choice to lead the FBI in his next administration, Kash Patel. What do you think about that? Do you like that? Patel's known for his fierce criticism of the deep state. He's no fan of the FBI. He's expected to implement the sweeping reforms that everybody's expecting at the FBI, or the FBI, as some people call it. In announcing Patel's nomination over the weekend, President Trump called him a brilliant investigator and an America First fighter. He's a longtime ally of Trump. He's been a central figure in exposing FBI surveillance abuses during Trump's first term. He's been a vocal critic of what he calls a corrupt bureaucracy. Patel brings a wealth of experience, from prosecuting Al-Qaeda, for example, and ISIS members at the DOJ, to serving as chief of staff at the Department of Defense. He knows the bureaucracy. The question is he going to be able to effectively fight it? I think he will. He's played a key role on the House Intelligence Committee under Devin Nunes, for example, where he helped uncover the unlawful surveillance of Trump's 2016 campaign. His background in national security and intelligence makes him uniquely suited to lead an agency that is in dire need of an overhaul, that needs an outsider willing to make the hard changes, because it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of pushback. Patel has not been shy about his vision for the FBI. That kind of rhymed, didn't it? Patel has not been shy for his vision for the FBI. Stating in interviews that he would shut down the Hoover building on day one and reopen it as a museum of the deep state. They didn't like that at all. He's expected to work closely with Pam Bondi, Trump's pick for Attorney General, to address rising crime in the country, to, yes, address border security, but most importantly, to address the corruption within the Bureau itself, to take the FBI back to the prominent law enforcement agency that it once was. And again, more importantly, to regain the trust of the American people. When you have people, as I jokingly referred to them a minute ago, as the FBI, when you have your citizens calling you those types of names, and you know that you're not trusted, you have a problem. I think Kash Patel is going to solve that problem in a very good way. You agree? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse are proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. Last week, it was the Mexican president who promised to work with President Trump rather than risk a tariff war. Well, now, in a surprising turn of events, maybe it wasn't so surprising after all, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also promised President Trump that Canada will strengthen security along the U.S.-Canada border. Canada, which sends 75% of its exports to the U.S., could face severe economic consequences if Trump follows through on the tariff threats. Here's how it came about. And according to Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, who attended a dinner meeting with Trudeau and Trump in Florida over the weekend, he says that Canada plans to step up border security visibly and decisively. Measures include deploying additional drones, police helicopters, and personnel to monitor the border more effectively. Mr. LeBlanc stressed that Canada aims to prove to both nations that it's taking the issue seriously. This came about as Trudeau was down in Florida at Mar-a-Lago over the Thanksgiving weekend. There was photos and video images of the two leaders casually visiting one another. While Canada hopes to avoid tariffs, like you would imagine, like Mexico did, Trudeau's government is making the case that imposing these measures would also hurt the economies of the U.S. as well. He was a bit defiant initially, just like the Mexican president was as well, but seems to have softened in that defiance. LeBlanc described the dinner over the weekend as very warm and cordial. It is a bit of a contrast from past clashes between these two men, including Trump's infamous far-left lunatic comment about Trudeau during the pandemic and his fiery exit from the 2018 G7 summit in Quebec. They haven't had a good history necessarily. But according to reports, things changed a bit as Trump walked Trudeau to his car at the end of the evening saying, "Keep in touch, call me anytime, talk soon." Is this a new era in U.S.-Canada relations? We'll see. Faye on the text line says, "Good morning, Joe. We all hope your New York trip was a good one. Well, it looks like Joe has pardoned old Hunter on tax and gun charges, but I knew he would. Joe B. is going to try to finish our country off between now and January 20th. Sure hope Trump is able to really clean house during his 4 years, and let's start with the rotten to the core FBI." Your text messages are welcome as well, and your emails, joe@joeyhudson.com. You can also leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com, and you'll save big on every single item, whether it's the MyPillow standard pillows for just $14.88 when you use promo code Joey, the MyPillow sheets, the MyPillow slippers, which I love. You can wear them indoors, outdoors, whatever you buy. And now's a great time to buy plenty of the MyPillow slippers and the other products for Christmas presents. It's not too early to go ahead and start knocking those gifts off of your list. MyPillow.com, use promo code Joey. Looks like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy has a supporter in the U.S. Senate for their new non-government agency known as DOGE. The new initiative appears to have the support of Bernie Sanders, of all people. This story took an interesting turn this week when Bernie Sanders voiced his support for Elon Musk's wasteful spending or critique of wasteful spending, specifically at the Pentagon. In a post on X, Sanders wrote, "Elon Musk is right. The Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its seventh audit in a row. It's lost track of billions," he wrote. Musk responded with 2 American flag emojis, underscoring the rare bipartisan agreement on this issue. So what's the numbers that Sanders is talking about here? The Pentagon's budget for 2024 is $886 billion. What's even worse is its repeated failure to pass these audits that he referenced. This is the 7th year in a row the Department of Defense has been unable to account for billions of taxpayer dollars, and we just seem to ignore it. Is there a business in this world, particularly in the U.S., that if it failed an audit 7 years in a row, would it still be in business? And even more importantly, would the chief financial officer and anybody in the accounting department who played a role in this, would they have a job? If you could not pass your audit, would you be allowed to continue to work? I don't think so. And let's face it here. This is one agency. This is the Pentagon. And this isn't a Pentagon problem. Elon Musk has been very vocal about waste all across every level of government. I don't think there's an agency that's going to be immune from his attack. One example he called out is the California's high-speed rail project. What a fiasco. What a boondoggle. It was originally projected to cost $33 billion, which was a lot of money. Now it's ballooned to as much as $127.9 billion. It's received $6.8 billion in federal funding. The majority of the railway hasn't even been designed, and no one, not a single passenger, has been transported yet. What's wrong with that picture? And why is this acceptable? It's almost like we hear these stories of $100 ashtrays from the Department of Defense, $1,000 hammers, and it's like, well, that's just government. That's what they do, rather than calling them out. In a repost from Doge's X account, which Musk put up right after the announcement that he was going to take over this newly formed agency, he summed it up by saying the government needs to stop wasting your hard-earned money. Trump described Doge as a way to create an entrepreneurial approach to government never seen before. And Musk and Ramaswamy, I think they're up to the task. They have echoed this sentiment, emphasizing their goal to introduce real-world accountability to federal spending. Hey, look, it's their tax money too. They have an incentive to make sure that it works because they live in this country as well. Musk warned in a recent post, quote, America is going bankrupt fast. The excess government spending is what causes inflation. All government spending is taxation. And he's right. You and I are paying that. We have this $36 trillion debt that we continue to build on. So this is where Doge hopes to make an impact by identifying wasteful spending, proposing reforms, and holding agencies accountable. Bernie Sanders is right to highlight the Pentagon's inability to pass audits. For years, critics from both sides of the aisle have called for more transparency and accountability in defense spending, but yet nobody holds them accountable. If Doge can help bring real scrutiny to the Pentagon's budget and other agencies in the federal government, it's going to be a huge win for you and me. And it's going to be fun to watch. Because we cannot afford to see that $36 trillion national debt continue to soar. And Musk has been very blunt about the stakes, noting that interest payments on the debt now exceed the entire defense budget. Think about that for a minute. We pay more interest on our debt than we spend on national security, on defending our country. That's not sustainable. And Doge's success, or hopefully not their failure, could shape how we tackle this crisis and how we come out of this crisis and how we once and for all stop deficit spending, balance a budget, and get our country's finances back on track. And we're all going to benefit from it. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.